Tonight, a rise in cases means Ontario is on track for a second wave.
Bottom line is that the status quo has us on a path that is very deeply troubling.
As some cities see tighter restrictions, others are asking to be added to the list. And
this guy's gonna start driving like a maniac, I think. There he goes.
it's a high-speed pursuit straight out of a video game, and it's all caught on camera. Also, Rosh Hashanah starts tonight, but this year it looks a little different. Good evening, I'm Marivel Tarouk. Tighter restrictions on gatherings are in effect tonight for Toronto, Peel, and Ottawa, as daily cases of COVID-19 climb above 400 for the first time since early June. Now, one GTA mayor wants restrictions expanded to his region. Lorenda Redekop has the details.
In Ottawa, people lined up at new mobile testing sites, this one outside a school. Some waited all day.
By around 7 a.m., if you were in the line, you might get a test in 12 hours or you might be sent home. It was just atrocious. It felt like the Hunger Games and made the odds be ever in your favor.
Today, Ottawa's medical officer of health had this to say about whether we're in a second wave.
Yes, we're seeing a rise in cases, and it's the speed of the increase that concerns us.
Across Ontario, new cases haven't been this high since early June. Both daily numbers and the 5-day average show the curve is rising.
The bottom line is that the status quo has us on a path that is very deeply troubling, and we've got to try and arrest that trend as quickly as we possibly can with the cooperation of the people.
Today, Toronto had the most new cases with 130, followed by Peel and Ottawa. Next was York Region with 40. But York Region is not part of those stricter rules on social gatherings that came into effect today, designed to cut down on parties.
I don't want our community to be more vulnerable. We share borders, and having one set of rules in one part of a metropolitan area and a different set of rules in another doesn't make sense.
Today, a hint from the Premier that could happen, saying Cabinet is meeting and more regions will be added.
I just don't believe in going in there as the big province. I believe in working collaboratively with the 444 municipalities, and they're calling for help. We're going to be there for them.
Once again, young adults made up the most new cases, with 200 people in their 20s and 30s testing positive. 99 cases are in 40 and 50-year-olds.
I know they want to have fun and they want to try to enjoy themselves, but like the world's going through something right now, and I think they need to mature and know that like one party could really ruin it for a lot of people.
A lot of friends of mine, I know they're like, hey, I'm pretending like it's stage one now. I'm not going out to the things I used to go anymore. I'm staying inside. I don't know if that's everyone, but I hope it is soon.
More testing sites are coming. The health minister has promised pop-up mobile sites for both Peel and Toronto next week. Lorenda Redekop, CBC News, Toronto.
It's clear Ontario's rising cases are concerning. As you heard, Ottawa's medical officer of health says the nation's capital is officially in the second wave of the COVID-19 pandemic. But federal officials say, as a nation, Canada is not in a second wave, at least not yet.
The situation does differ from one area of the country to another. But what we are seeing is that certainly in the 4 biggest provinces, British Columbia, in Alberta, and Ontario and Quebec, that the case numbers have been going steadily, up and increasing for quite a number of weeks, and certainly that's concerning.
Meanwhile, Quebec's safety minister is taking steps to prevent a second wave there by launching a police blitz on bars across the province this weekend. Officers will be making sure pandemic restrictions are being observed. Provincial officials say more restrictions could be imposed if the ongoing surge in cases isn't reversed. Conservative leader Erin O'Toole has tested positive for COVID-19. A statement released tonight says O'Toole is in self-isolation and is feeling well. His wife and children have tested negative. This news comes on the same day that Bloc Québécois leader Yves-François Blanchet also tested positive for the virus. Well, Toronto has led the province in new COVID-19 cases for the past 2 weeks. Now, residents are being warned of a cluster at a popular waterfront nightclub. Toronto Public Health is notifying anyone who was at Noir inside Rebel Entertainment Complex at the Portlands that they may have been exposed to the virus. 4 people who've tested positive for COVID-19 were at the club on Friday, September 11th from 10:30 p.m. to 2 a.m. Anyone who thinks they may have been exposed should monitor themselves for symptoms until September 25th. They should also stay 6 feet apart from others, wear a mask, and wash hands frequently. Police have arrested a man in connection with a murder outside a Toronto mosque last weekend.
Today, September the 18th, homicide investigators arrested 34-year-old Guilherme William von Nudigan of Toronto. He has been charged with 1 count of first-degree murder.
Investigators say there is no known motive, but they are still looking at whether this was a hate-motivated killing. The victim was 58-year-old Mohammed Aslim Zafis. He was volunteering outside the International Muslims Organization mosque last Saturday when he was stabbed to death. Police don't believe the accused and the victim knew each other. Now investigators are looking into another murder that happened close to where Zafis was killed. Rampreet Singh was found stabbed to death under a bridge near Highway 27 and Humber College Boulevard earlier this month. Police continue to investigate if there's any link between the 2 murders. More charges have been laid against the man accused in the crash that left a mother and her 3 children dead. Police allege Brady Robertson was on drugs at the time of the crash. Investigators say the 20-year-old was speeding on June 18th when he crashed into another car. 37-year-old Carolina Chasulo and her 3 children were killed. Robertson was already charged with dangerous driving causing death. He's now facing 4 additional charges of impaired driving causing death. The closure of the border with the United States is being extended another month to October 21st. Public Safety Minister Bill Blair and his American counterpart both announced the extension today. U.S. President Donald Trump spoke about the border this afternoon, saying he was confident it would reopen soon.
We're looking at the border with Canada. Canada would like it opened, and, we want to get back to normal business. We have the USMCA all done, the new trade deal replacing NAFTA, which was probably the worst trade deal ever made by anybody. It was grossly incompetent. We have a great trade deal right now, and so we're going to be opening the borders pretty soon.
Before the end of the year, you hope?
Say it?
Before the end of the year?
Could be. Yeah, we're working with Canada. We want to pick a good date. Having to do with the pandemic,
the Canada-U.S. border was closed in March. Since then, crossings have been restricted primarily to goods, essential workers, and citizens returning home. The closure has been extended several times and was set to expire in 3 days. Well, she came to be known simply as RBG. U.S. Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg has died. After serving 3 decades in the highest court, she's being remembered as a feminist icon. CBC's senior Washington editor Lindsay Duncombe has this look at her life and legacy.
The fight for women's equality in the United States wasn't just Ruth Bader Ginsburg's life's work. She lived the struggle.
She saw injustice in the world, she fought it, and she did so while ascending to the highest court in the country, but very much staying herself.
Ginsburg was born in Depression-era Brooklyn to Jewish immigrants. She decided at Cornell University she wanted to be a lawyer.
My family had grave misgivings because who wanted to hire a lady lawyer in those days?
Ginsburg was one of 9 women at Harvard Law School in a class of 500. She studied alongside her husband, Martin.
We were best friends, and he was the first guy I had ever dated who cared that I had a brain.
When her husband was sick with cancer, Ruth attended both of their classes and cared for their baby daughter. She graduated top of her class, but firms wouldn't hire her. After 41 rejections, she turned to teaching.
Mr. Chief Justice, and may it please the court.
In the 1970s, as a lawyer for the American Civil Liberties Union, Ginsburg argued 6 cases before the Supreme Court, challenging sex-based discrimination in the law. She won 5 of them, changing the legal landscape for American women. An appointment to the D.C. Appeals Court led to the Supreme Court.
I am proud to nominate for Associate Justice of the Supreme Court, Judge Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
As the court moved to the right, Ginsburg became known for reading her sharp, scathing dissents from the bench. Her closest friend was her ideological opposite. She and conservative Justice Antonin Scalia shared a love of good opera and good argument. In 2013, a law student started this blog, calling Ginsburg Notorious RBG, a play on the rapper Notorious B.I.G. It stuck.
There she is, also known as the Notorious RBG.
Despite the worship, there was pressure on Ginsburg to retire before the end of the Obama presidency so that she could be replaced with another liberal justice. She didn't. During the 2016 campaign, Ginsburg was openly critical of Donald Trump and later apologized. With his election, Ginsburg's status as a hero of the left escalated. There were films, a documentary,
the closest thing to a superhero I know,
and a Hollywood feature.
What did you say your name was?
Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
The 2-time cancer survivor even took her workout routine to late-night TV.
I'm cramping and I'm working out with an 85-year-old woman.
Underlying it all, concern from the left that the tiny woman who changed so much would not survive the Trump presidency. Those fears were realized today. Lindsay Duncombe, CBC News, Washington.
Through Great Lakes Drive, there was an NBC. These males out on foot running, trying to carjack another vehicle.
He stole one car, crashed into another, and then tried to steal a few more. A man goes on a video game-like crime spree, and it's all caught on camera. And
well, we have a cool night ahead of us with temperatures we haven't seen since. I'm meteorologist Colette Kennedy, and I will answer that coming up after the break.
It was a wild scene that could have been ripped from the video game Grand Theft Auto. York police providing surveillance footage tonight of their pursuit of a stolen car. The fleeing suspect running red lights, jumping curbs, even trying to carjack other vehicles. Chris Glover takes us through what happened.
This guy's gonna start driving like a maniac, I think. There he goes.
A dangerous joyride at 4:30 in the afternoon Wednesday. Police say the black Mercedes was stolen from a driveway in Vaughan.
What the hell? Oh my God, he's going against traffic as well. What an idiot.
As soon as they start to see the driving becoming aggressive, as it was in this case, right out of the gate, our officers on the ground back right off because we don't want to put the public in any kind of danger.
But the police helicopter saw it go from bad to worse, flying through red lights, hopping curbs, and cities.
He comes into that intersection, you see the transport truck drive by. It almost looks like he wants to go underneath the transport truck. Like it's crazy the driving that is seen in this video, and the fact that he was willing to put his own life at risk and the life of everybody else on the road that day, all the way from Vaughan to Brampton, is just crazy.
At Beauvert and Great Lakes Drive in Brampton, the suspect crashed into a vehicle.
Whoa.
Syed Ali can't believe what he's seeing.
It happened very near to where I'm living, so it scares me. And it's in daytime, not even in the nighttime, right?
If you think it was done with the crash, think again. On foot, the assailant tries and fails to jack other cars. Then, in the Canadian Tire parking lot,
The guy's getting out and chasing him.
yet another fail.
You see some of this stuff on TV. I think you see more of it in video games. It looks just like a scene out of Grand Theft Auto.
Oh no, he tries to steal the car.
It's literally like he's playing Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah,
But these video gamers say this is no game.
but they're putting like everyone else in risk, and it's not worth it.
The helicopter never lost sight of him until he ran inside this Brampton Canadian Tire for a bit.
Like, what is the thought process? Like, does it really think he's gonna get away?
After about 30 minutes of chaos, 20-year-old Subithan Uthaya from Brampton was arrested inside this Shoppers Drug Mart and now faces a slew of charges.
Some strict punishments so that other people won't get motivated to do it, right?
Yeah. One of his charges, driving while prohibited. Turns out a similar scene played out in July. Police allege back then he was driving drunk and also fled.
Now I would think twice to go out with my family on the road, thinking that it can happen to anyone.
Police say the other driver the suspect hit at that intersection just over there was taken to hospital with minor injuries. Now, the suspect was supposed to be in court just next week for those alleged charges from back in July. Now he'll have to answer for these charges as well. Chris Glover, CBC News, Brampton.
Well, if you're heading out tonight or you were out earlier, you may have needed a jacket for the first time in a while. Colette's here now to tell us whether this cool weather is here to stay. Colette.
Thanks, Marivelle. Yes, we do have a cool night ahead. In fact, we're going to be seeing some temperatures tonight that we have not seen. And this is if we're looking at Toronto or if we're talking about winds. And we're talking about most of southern and eastern Ontario temperatures we have not seen since about mid-May, since about the 13th of May, when temperatures were cooler than what they're going to be tonight. So that's what we're looking at with the clear skies. We do have frost advisories. I'll show you exactly where those are. However, I do have to encourage you because with high pressure, the dominant feature that we're seeing, it is actually going to be a very beautiful weekend. So we have dry conditions and a lot of sunshine, even if our temperatures are running about 5 degrees below seasonal on average. So temperatures by Tuesday, take heart if we like things to be just a little bit milder. Hey, they're going back, in fact, a little bit above seasonal. By the time we get to Tuesday, which is the first official day of fall, the autumnal equinox comes in on Tuesday. They're going above seasonal, and they're going to stay that way. It's looking really good as we go into next week in terms of the warmth. So here we go with the frost advisories tonight. kind of the closer you are to the lake there, you get protected a little bit, a little more warmth. So it is not including, I know it's sort of hard to see here, but it's not including the city of Toronto, does not include Hamilton or the Niagara region or back here towards Windsor, Essex or Leamington, not included into the frost advisory, but just about everywhere else you can see. So lots of areas where the temperature is going to freezing or maybe even sub-zero. So we could have some hard freezes as well a little further towards the north. Our daytime highs today, and this is what I mean by running about 5 degrees below seasonal for those daytime highs. What's ahead with high pressure? Not a lot to see. A few passing clouds, so some fair weather clouds will come into the picture. You see it looks like a little isolated shower activity. I wouldn't anticipate that. We're just going to be seeing a lot of sunshine to go around. The clear skies does help with the fact that the temperatures get so cool through the overnight. Also, when those winds get lighter through the overnight, it allows some of that frost to develop. So patchy frost, it is even possible in areas where we don't have the advisories because of some of these cooler temperatures that we're going to be seeing. So if you do have some tender vegetation that you can still protect or plants that you can bring inside, you want to be thinking about that. I know that I am taking care of things that I can. So our average high, this is what it looks like, and these are what our temperatures look like for tomorrow afternoon in southwestern Ontario. The numbers look like this. Mark them. You might even get to 0 for tonight, and then tomorrow temperatures like this. But again, like I said, a really pretty day. It's a beautiful weekend with some social distancing. All the reason to get outside and enjoy the kind of conditions we're going to have. By Monday, we're up to 18, and by the way, it's a little bit warmer even on Sunday. And then by Tuesday, Wednesday, things are looking really good in terms of those temperatures. Maribel.
Glad there's sunshine this weekend at least. Thanks, Colette.
The weather is brought to you by Trane, the most reliable heating and cooling brand. We test, so it runs. It's hard to stop a train.
The Jewish New Year begins tonight, and normally it would be a time for families to come together. But the pandemic is forcing people to reimagine how they celebrate. And Greg Ross has that story.
The blowing of the shofar, a regular practice during Rosh Hashanah. And while Rabbi Adam Cutler says that's one tradition that will carry on this year, they are being forced to change many others.
Because of COVID-19, obviously we're not having large gatherings with new restrictions. I'm encouraging everyone, of course, to follow them.
Gathering with people to celebrate is a big part of the holiday. Most years, the Adath Israel Synagogue would draw huge crowds all weekend for their service.
Most years we would have thousands of people in this building. Our main sanctuary seats well over 1,000. Tomorrow morning and the next day we're probably going to have just a little over 100.
Right. And things will look very different for those who are inside. Rabbi Cutler will be speaking from behind plexiglass to a congregation that is physically distanced.
Everyone's going to have a designated seat. They're going to sit by family unit. Everyone, of course, has to wear a mask, and they're going to be a minimum 2 meters apart.
Those not able to make it can now watch from home.
Given the needs of the community at this time of urgency, we made the decision to live stream.
The pandemic didn't stop people from stocking up at kosher bakeries around the city. Some had huge lines.
All told, it was an hour between the time I lined up and the time I walked out of the store.
Many of these people are planning smaller celebrations at home, but there still will be some empty chairs at the dinner table. This woman's elderly mother lives in a nursing home.
She would have come to us for the dinners, but I'm not doing that this year. It's very hard.
She says she'll connect with her mother over the internet, something many families are planning to do as they try to keep traditions alive during these challenging times.
We know that even if we're not sitting in the same house, we're all doing the same things, and so in that way we're able to stay connected.
Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
It is one of the most beloved tourist destinations in the city. And now the Toronto sign at Nathan Phillips Square has a brand new look. That's coming up after the break. The new Toronto sign was unveiled at Nathan Phillips Square today with a wrap recognizing the diversity of people of African descent in the city. The sign was first installed in 2015 for the Pan Am Games and has since become one of the most visited attractions in Toronto. It was supposed to be a temporary fixture, but given the popularity, the city decided to leave it in place.
Honor and pay tribute to the ancestors of African origin and descent. This moment is for you.
My aim simply was to capture our brilliance, our boldness, and our beauty as Black people.
The new sign had its first wrap titled Patterns of the People, recognizing the United Nations International Decade for People of African Descent. Officials say the wraps are changed about every 12 months. And that's our show for you tonight. We are going to leave you with a look at a vigil happening tonight outside the Supreme Court in Washington, D.C. Thousands of people have gathered to pay their respects to the late U.S. Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Have a lovely weekend, everyone.